Well, in our series of talking to MHKs and how it's all gone on their report card, as we would say, for the first year, I'm with the Chief Minister, Howard Quayle. Of course, no stranger to government anyway, but obviously new to that chair just a year ago, really, isn't it?
Well, not even a year ago, Paul, 11 months.
Now, let's just, I mean, you know, you're one of three. You weren't actually probably the favourite as it stood for the public, but obviously that didn't matter.
Well, no, I disagree with you there. I mean, I was surprised by the advertising that the newspapers did on fill out a piece of paper on who you want to be Chief Minister, and the vast majority of people, the sort of people that would support me, don't take part in gimmicks like that. And again, I know Manx Radio did a little short one on the day, and if you've been in government, there's no way the people that listen to the Mannon line are going to support a government minister. So, no, I disagree there.
And I hosted the three candidates down at the hall, didn't we? And we had that was probably the most interesting when you do get all three people ask a question and answering it. And okay, so let's from there. Was there any animosity about how it all worked out? You know, the other people standing against you, for instance.
No, it's that it was their right to do it. I mean, I was standing because I genuinely believed you couldn't have someone who had never been a minister representing the island when you've got the likes of Brexit going on, British Irish Council. You needed someone who was experienced in that. And I'm sure that the candidates in the future, you know, the next administration were more than capable of stepping up to the mark. So, no, there's no animosity. That's life, isn't it?
You, with the deck of cards you had to make people ministers who hadn't been in government as it was. I mean, you had to, didn't you? I mean, I'm just trying to get the number breakdown. There
was 24 MHKs. You discount 12 because they were new. You're down to 12. The Speaker takes you down to 11. So you were down to choosing out of that number.
Was that tricky?
Yeah. Well, it's you play the hand you're dealt with, don't you?
And a year on, I mean, we joke about it, but at some point it's quite normal. Government to have a sort of reshuffle sounds so sort of cliche, but just a realignment. Let's try that word. I mean, have you felt that yet? That people are maybe better off somewhere else.
Not at this moment in time. I'm sure at some stage we're going to have a realignment, as you say. But at this moment in time, everyone's working well to the best of their capabilities, and It never. So when I'm out and about on a regular basis, and it never ceases to amaze me that strangers coming up to me and saying how pleased they are that this government is working together. People were absolutely sick and tired of all the infighting of not just the last administration, but previous ones as well. And I think at this moment in time, we've got there's always little niggles, but that's life. But at this moment in time,
you've been in this
touch wood, people are working well together.
This is the powerhouse. This is the room where the decisions are made. So you've seen the difference between the Bell administration. You weren't a minister any further back, or that's it. So you haven't seen it before that. I mean, there was money to throw at things, of course, originally, and then there wasn't with the Bell administration as it went on.
Yeah.
So that must have been a tricky time in this room.
Well, yes, because you've had some of in the previous administration, you had some of the politicians who had been used to having lots of money, now having to make cuts, etc. And I suppose in a way that's what got me into politics, Paul. I never had a career in politics in mind, but when the Isle of Man lost the VAT money in 2008, I felt we needed people in who knew how to handle money and business people who would get value for money and try and steer the island through a difficult period, because whoever is your politician in the last administration and this administration, they're not going to be universally popular, because they've got to undo some of the damage and take the island forward, balance the economy and take us through Brexit.
You stood because you felt you were the man to do it? I mean, was it one of those things, the finest, the country needs me sort of thing?
No, it wasn't that. It's just I was the only minister standing for a job. Now, I'd been away in British Irish Council on numerous occasions. I knew all the key players that whoever's Chief Minister would have to deal with. And when I was made Chief Minister, they gave me a quick, congratulated me, but it was first name terms anyway. So it was a seamless transition. And that really helps when you're trying to take the island forward. And, we're living in really, really interesting times, and making sure that you've got plenty of contacts and good relationships is absolutely key.
Well, obviously leadership skills as well. I mean, have you had this position with not in government but in private sector, having to deal with
Well, I was president of the Farmers Union for 5 years, Paul, and I always say if you can chair a council of 40 farmers in a meeting, you can handle anything.
But I mean, on all seriousness, there must be a wide range of opinions in here.
Yeah.
Have you? I mean, I don't know what you're going to say here. But if you can even say anything, I mean, have you had to use your sort of casting vote from time to time, saying, "Thank you, but that's enough. We are going this way after all"?
No, well, it's concession. You never. I would say the vast majority of the times we have total agreement on policies, and on other policies that there can be.
But do you get the casting vote? Is that how it works?
No. You have a vote, and that's it. I don't think I've had to, from memory, have ever had to do a casting vote. I could double check on that for you.
Yeah, but could you? I mean, could you say something? I mean, how does it work in here? I mean, if you've got a sort of split down the middle, I suppose that's a casting vote. But or could you override something that most people are against in this room?
No, if I've been outvoted in this chair. So, if all the members feel I'm wrong on something, then I've had to back down. So it's, believe it or not, it's quite a good-natured council meeting. We get through a lot of business, but we try and do it with good nature and a business-like approach.
I keep a list, on my phone. It's 233 days at the time of recording since you made that policy announcement.
Programme for government.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm keeping that clock going.
Every week when we have a meeting here, in the agenda, I always say, are we up to date? Are all departments up to date with our, targets of what we've set ourselves?
So you're having this thing where you set yourself these traffic lights, don't you?
Yeah.
And that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The first one of those has happened.
Yeah, and we also publish it. So it's not just us having a little book here. The public can go online, see A, what the policies are for this administration, B, the time frame for this administration to deliver on those policies, and C, more importantly, which hasn't been done before, who was the politician responsible for ensuring that we get it through? Because I wanted the public to see that this government isn't just going to publish some nice, shiny, glossy document and then it gathers dust. I wanted, whether people agree with the policies or not, to deliver on them.
Let's get away from you as government. I want to talk about you as an MHK now, because how do you balance that, doing constituency work, or do you don't have time for that?
Yeah, yesterday I spent 2 hours from 6 to 8 solidly on the phone speaking to constituents. It's some constituents you get that all the time. Maybe Middle isn't quite like that, but I still do the surgeries.
Is that tricky?
It is, but I suppose I'm used to working long hours. And sometimes, I work with another MHK. Obviously, Bill Shimmons is in the constituency, so he takes some of the cases if I'm off island, say, in doing meetings in Westminster. So he will look after some of those cases. But in fact, these last 2-3 days, I've probably done more constituency work than I have for a while.
But the balancing act must be tricky.
It is, and I think if you analyse maybe previous chief ministers' jobs, you probably say, well, 80% of their workload would be on Ireland, on running government and taking policies forward, and then maybe 20% would be off-Ireland work, British Irish Council in Westminster, with various problems that you always have as an island community. And then, and I would give examples of that. For me, has been beneficial ownership, which I was delighted with the outcome that we got there, because that was a really tough one to fight. And Moneyval. Now, but then on top of that, you've now got Brexit, and that sort of added nearly 50% of my time on top of a normal chief minister's job is Brexit. The amount of reading you've got to do, the reports you've got to do, the additional meetings you've got to do, the positioning. I've just announced, which I was really pleased with. That was quite ironic. Positioning the Isle of Man, we've joined the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, which gives the Isle of Man access to 53 countries, representing 2.4 billion people. And I was a little bit disappointed. Something I thought was really strategic. Everyone, I thought it was really good news that we'd taken this step, because when you come out of Brexit, that's not the end of it. The UK then has to go and negotiate with the rest of the world on trade deals. And you do that, and I think you end up page 9 in the newspaper, and you think to yourself, and why do you bother sometimes?
I've sat in this very room debating with your previous man in this position about £1 parking at the airport, which to people was more concern than the £50 million enterprise thing.
Yeah,
he didn't like that at all. But that's just a fact of life.
I suppose, and you've got to accept it. But I think the Manx public out there are more interested than maybe the credit they're given to. They're given.
So how is Howard Quayle doing? I mean, are you coping? Are you enjoying yourself? I mean, is that even the right word to use, or do you feel that this is your duty to do it?
Well, I suppose in a way I took the job out of duty because I'm very, I have an Achilles heel. I'm intensely patriotic. I love this island with a passion, and that's why I felt as a minister I was the only one who had the experience to take the island forward through a really difficult period. But I have to say I am enjoying the job. Didn't think I necessarily would, but you get to meet some really interesting people. Yes, you do horrendous hours in a week, but it's. I
shouldn't feel sorry for you though, right?
I asked for the job. I went after the job. I mean, I was quite ironic. I was really ill. The worst. I haven't been so ill in years. When I stood, I got a chill outdoor knocking, and because I was so run down, health minister, and trying to get out cameras, couldn't shift it, and I was dosed up with all sorts of antibiotics and tablets to get me through the election.
You encountered it during the election, and I'm talking about social media and the keyboard warriors. How's that been? Because you do, even still today, the government is, and yourself, I'm talking about yourself actually, are exposed to your critics.
Yeah, well, those critics are the same critics that all the previous administration had. They're the same names. And I suppose when I first came into politics, I did used to get upset over some of their comments, and I used to respond explaining what government had done and why we'd done certain things. But I used to find that despite doing that for a number of years, your good reasoning was totally ignored, and there was conspiracy theories. And I just realised it taught me a lesson that there are some people that no matter, and a very, very small minority, I hasten to add, that no matter how much you try and explain and help, the government is the enemy, and the minute you become an MHK or chief minister, you're there to be ridiculed. And, sadly, I have to, it's an alien part of the society that I'm used to.
So you pulled that off social media?
Yeah, I still go on it to, I tweet to let people know what I'm getting up to.
Oh, yeah, that's good, by the way, because you're the first one to have an account. So you actually do those pictures of handshakes. But is that something you felt you had to do, or you wanted to do, or were you advised to do it?
I think it's important that people see what the chief minister gets up to. And, Mr. Guthrie, Guthrie's memorial, I tweeted, I took, had a selfie done of the two of us up at the grandstand. And, as I say, you do get to meet some interesting people. And, he was a great hero. He did won the Manx Grand Prix Senior 50 years ago, the year I was born. So, yeah, I try and let people see who I'm meeting so they can get a flavour of what we're doing behind the scenes.
We only make page 9 about some big policy, but I almost got you page 1 when I had a picture of Carl Cox, the DJ.
Yes.
You only got pushed off page 1 apparently at the last second, but that's a great picture which will stay with me for a long time.
Yes, and I still didn't know who he was, but my children were raving about the fact that I've been
Isn't it interesting how social media and just having pictures of things can be so inspiring to certain people? You probably touch people who didn't know who you might be. That could be a thing, isn't it? You could have people in the Isle of Man who have no idea who you are because they don't come into this world of politics at all. They don't buy a newspaper. They don't listen to the radio. Social media is their only contact.
Well, sometimes things that you don't think are important really float people's boats. I'll give you an example. When I'm away in Westminster selling the Isle of Man and explaining what we do, the minute everyone seems to think we're some sort of financial tax avoidance centre in the middle of the Irish Sea. The minute I say, well, no, our finance sector is only 34%, we're more compliant than the UK with the OECD, to name but one organisation. The minute I start to say, well, actually, we make parts for Rolls-Royce engines. We made parts for the Hadron Collider, the space station, the lens on the Mars.
You go to the
they suddenly take an interest, and that it makes. They said we didn't know that. So yeah, the Cox photograph is another classic.
Just interesting, I know.
Yeah.
Career politician. I mean, I know it's
no.
I know you said this in the past, but you're only 4 years.
I've only been 6 years as a politician.
Yeah, 4 years to go. You're saying you're definitely not going to do it. I mean, that's strange. Is it too early? I mean,
you never say never, do you? Because you've got to say, how's Brexit going to go? It would be pretty bad of me to bail out if Brexit's not sorted.
So how are you feeling at the minute? I mean, a career politician means that standing again, and you see your future in. A
career politician to me is someone who goes in and wants to go in the full length of their working life. And I don't intend to be in politics, to retire during
But you're
politics.
going to see this out as chief minister, unless
unless
there's some sort of coup or anything.
Yeah, no, of course I am, and then I'll review. I came in with a plan, a strategy to help get the island's economy balanced and back on track, and now obviously Brexit, a major problem, has got to be sorted.
I'm just trying to keep more on you, because I know there's fascination on this interview, because we talk to you every week when you're the Chief Minister, but how's it affected your family, for instance, this whole thing?
Yeah, it's well, I suppose it's being a minister can affect your family too, and you get upset when your family get attacked, and I was very upset when my wife was abused over a decision I'd made backing my medics when I was the health minister, and you don't expect that. I mean, I can take the hassle myself because I've gone into a job where you have to say as a politician you're going to get stick no matter what you do, but I maybe naively expected people to leave my family alone, and the vast majority do, to be fair to them, but occasionally they
Has that continued though since being
here? No, not since.
Okay. How do you rate yourself out of 10? I'll be asking people, and don't say you're not going to give me an answer.
No, well, I'm not going to give it, but because in my diary, ever since I've been elected, I've written a phrase. It's a little Latin phrase, and it's "Quantum in me fuit," and it translates to "I did the best I could." And that's all I can do. I work long hours because I want to, I want to deliver good for the Isle of Man. I give it my best shot.
If I said 7, would you
No,
be upset?
Well, that's I think history will judge. I'll give you an example. Back to my, because things take years for you to see the results. Yeah. And when I took over as Health and Social Care Minister, one of the first questions I was asked was, how many vacancies was there of nurses at Nobles Hospital? And the answer was 80 to 100. And as a result, we were having to pay locum fees 3 times the going rate. The nurses that were there were getting burnt out because they were having to cover. And I brought in a new head nurse. I said, right, we must get on top of that. Yeah. Now she's just done an interview and it's down to 30 to 50 vacancies. It takes, what I'm trying to say, Paul, is it can take 2-3 years.
I want to talk to you next year and the year after. I want a progress report. So you're not going to give me a number?
No, but I genuinely think that things have gone far better than I could have expected.
Give me a number for the government. You can't turn me down this one. How do you feel you've done collectively?
I think we've done really well.
A number?
Well, what's your hang up on numbers, Paul?
Because it's just giving it. You could do better. You're doing a good job.
You can always do better. I'd give it an 8 then if you want.
An 8.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting
I'm comparing previous administrations where I looked at the Brown administration, which got me to stand because I thought things were so bad. And then you look at the Bell administration, and then you look, and I don't see that as a reflection on me. I just see it's a reflection on all the politicians working together for the greater good, rather than that senseless infighting that used to go on. I used to sit in Keys and Timwell, in the previous, and that's not an attack on the previous chief minister, it's an attack maybe on some of the membership.
You still got 4 years to go.
What am I doing here?
No, but it could all change.
I felt that like from day one with the constant fighting and some 2.5-hour speeches of absolute garbage, and if it's done quicker. That doesn't mean to say that the politicians are any less interested, but they just get down to the fact: is it right for the Isle of Man? Do we support it? And that I find absolutely refreshing, and I genuinely enjoy going into Timwell and Keys now, because I feel that all the members are there for the benefit of the people, and they're not doing petty politics.
We'll see how it goes.
And long may it continue. Yes.